Good evening. My name is Pablo, and I'm going to be talking about the minimum wage and the current hike that's going on. So the main claim is minimum wage will adversely affect business, and the only definition would be elastic in terms to small business profits. So the elastic is defined as not flexible or set. So small businesses don't really have additional resources, or they don't make enough profit to have the ability to easily just change their prices. With increasing wages, they can't easily afford to increase their products prices and be able to get away with it. So background, minimum wage actually began in 1938 with Franklin D. Roosevelt, and it was actually enacted in order to prevent exploitation of workers. So back then we had a lot of employees that were being just exploited because they would only make a few cents per week, as compared to now with the federal minimum wage, where it's required by law for employers to pay their employees set required amount. So I'm gonna talk about. So I'm gonna support it with my 3 points. The first being that an increase in wages means less jobs to go around. My second point being quality suffers as a result of increased wages. And the third being inelastic pricing among small businesses, because that could actually sink them. So my first point, increase in wages actually means less jobs to go around. So with an increase in wages, actually what businesses are doing in order to keep their employees happy, they actually have to lace them off in order to bring higher wages in order to retain that smaller percent of employees. So if wages are going up, they can't afford to pay everyone this higher wage. So with California specifically, we're actually at $10.50 now. As of January 1st, it's going to 11. For the next couple of years up until 2022, we're going up to $15. So what companies will do, and especially small businesses, they'll actually lay off a few employees and raise the wages of the few that do remain. And you're actually, as a result of that, you could even be undercutting students such as ourselves, because now you're actually having a shortage of students being employed, because companies will actually focus on overly qualified employees and just focus on hiring them instead of people that need experience such as ourselves. So my second point being quality suffers as a result of increased wages. So higher wages actually result in investments going into wages instead of quality products. So again, small businesses will actually divert their profits from going into reinvesting back into the company, more into the wages to keep their employees happy. So one example is I work at Los Olivos. So one of the senior chefs there, his name is Frank. He actually makes about $13 an hour now, and incoming employees with the current minimum wage make $10.50, but in the next couple of years, they're actually, by 2022, they're going to be paying Frank, a senior chef who's been at Los Olivos for about 8 years, is actually going to be paid the same as incoming employees. So he's directly going to be affected. He's going to have seniority over everyone else, and yet at the same time, he's going to be paid their same wage, which makes no sense. He's actually getting undercut. So in that sense, Los Olivos as an institution is going to be left with either cutting hiring as far as students goes, or it's going to be forced to increase wages for everyone else, depending on if they can afford it. And then another thing that's going to be cut as far as quality goes is small things such as customer service. So how many of you guys, just by quick raise of hand, have actually been to McDonald's where they don't even have a cashier, they just have the electronic screen? There's actually one here down the 71. Yeah, you've been in one, right? So the thing with that is, we're actually going to get like more technology based as a result of it, because if you want to get paid, I don't know how many of you guys heard, like the McDonald's, I think it was a year or two ago, they were really striking for the $15 an hour. Well, they're going to get those $15 an hour, but you're also going to be losing a ton of jobs on the side, because things such as person-to-person contact, it costs too much to have an actual human being on the line and be able to interact with that person, as compared to just having a computer that could do the same thing and it'll just immediately take your order. And you really can't complain to a computer saying my order came out wrong, such and such. And then my third point being inelastic pricing among small businesses could actually sink them. There's a small business that I used to work at back home in the Central Valley. It's called Blue Turtle Express. So it's a small smoothie company, or a small smoothie just business. And the thing with that is prices across the board was about by 25 cents. And the thing with that is, as a small town that I come from, it's already difficult enough as a student to get a job there. And with increasing wages, what that my former boss was now doing, he was actually, again, undercutting students. He wasn't hiring students. He was actually focused on overly qualified people, so people that already had several years in the business. And he was hiring them instead. According to Forbes.com, even the average salary of small business owners have actually gone down by about $8,000 as compared to the same time last year. And additionally, 15% of small business owners need to work a second job while running the business in order to make ends meet. It's another quote by Forbes. Again, that same former boss, he actually worked as a community planner just in order to support his business, his own business, on top of being able just to live his own daily life. So it's increasing wages is causing even small business owners to have to take a second job on the side in order just to support themselves. In conclusion, an increase in minimum wage will result in job loss, a reduction of quality and goods available to the public, and it could actually potentially put many small businesses in danger of closing. Thank you.
Pablo, the proposition and the supporting structure is all very clear, so that part is solid. Internally, the organization is also well labeled. The problem is I got a lot of claims without a lot of evidence to support them. The one source citation I got in the speech is the Forbes citation that comes right toward the end of the presentation. Everything else is kind of like personal examples or explanations of concepts without any demonstration or grounds to suggest that the way you've interpreted things is correct, that you can back it up. It might sound reasonable to you, but there are also other things that go on. Like I said, I thought the statistical, excuse me, the piece of information that you had at the end about small business owners having a decrease in the amount of revenues that they are able to take as a salary was a pretty good illustration, but it comes at the end of a lot of other things that are mostly assertions, and so that's the weak part of the argument. The structural stuff is fine. I'm not sure if is it Los Amigos or Los Aligos or wherever it is that you're working. It sounds to me like it's you've got an idea here about Frank as an illustration of the point that is similar to what you were talking about going on with the business that you formerly worked at, and that is that people who have experience will either keep their jobs and get the higher pay, or they'll keep their jobs, and people who come in and don't have the experience will be making the same pay as them. And those 2 points seem almost inconsistent with one another. So that's a little bit confusing as well. All right, I want to get in another